Welcome back once again. You have reached PayDirt. I'm your host, Brandon Harry, aka PayDirt, with your host, Pay Saunders. What a do, Pay?
How's it going, everyone? Another week, another chance to get paid. B, how did we do last week?
Well, we were 4-2 and a couple of tough losses, really. My bad on Maryland. I didn't think Penn State was going to be able to beat them by 25. They sure did. But listen, 4-2, above board, brought us over 60% for the year. And listen, if I had to play it again, I'd probably bet the Terps and I'd probably bet the Ravens. So it is what it is. But 60%, again, what we're trying to do, stay over 58%. And make sure that we won't use that word, that L word, but make sure that our highly probables, we'll say, that we get our little extra units bet on those. That always helps out. And we've done really well on those. Anytime we've been doing a multiple unit bet, we've been good on those. Interesting game. We got championship week. Rivalry week was crazy last week in college football. We did a pretty good job staying away from the craziness and cashing on what we needed to cash on. We have slimmer amount of games this week, but some of them I like. Man. The NFL slate, normal slate. We'll get into that after we get into college. But before we do that, take a second, whether you're listening to us on audio podcast, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, go ahead, subscribe, give us those 5-star reviews if you can, and share us. Tell a friend to tell a friend about us. If you're watching us on YouTube, whether it's live or recorded, please go ahead and hit that notification button, that thumbs up, and share as well if you could. Hey, let's get into some college football, man. I'll tell you what, I'm going to start us off right here. You got to remember, none of these games are really home games. So, very few of them are. But I want to start off with UNLV at Boise State. Two very good running teams playing in the winter of Boise State. And like you said, I believe you said it a couple weeks ago on the homies, when you get those inclement weather games, and we saw it in Buffalo last week, right? If it's cold, if it's a little slick, if it's just the footing's not quite right, those guys that are one cutting up the field, they really benefit from that because the defense has a hard time changing directions and getting back. I really like the over 57.5 on this one. Both these teams have put up some big numbers, some big crooked numbers. I think they go over 57.5. What's your take on this game?
I saw a stat. Well, I heard a stat that Austin Genty has more yards after contact than anybody else in the nation has in general, right? So he's one of those guys that you're talking about. He can make things happen after a hit, and that just puts more pressure on the defense to try to bring him down in the slippery conditions. I definitely agree with you on the over. I like that 57.5 playing for this total game.
Now, did you see the video footage of him last week before? I think it was was it Oklahoma State or Oregon State game? I don't remember which one. One of those guys, but they were on their blue field, and he was out there warm-ups in sub-zero temperatures with no shirt on. Did you see that?
These kids, man, they're something else.
My first thought was this. I understand why people have a hard time tackling him. That guy looked like he was chiseled out of granite, dude. Like, big, solid.
Another one.
I like him. I think he's going to translate to the NFL. I think his game's going to translate to the NFL. I like him for the Heisman. That's an argument we've been going back and forth on. I don't think he's going to win it. I'm not going to put the money there. But I'm not going to put any money in the Heisman now. If you didn't have it in earlier, you should have got it in. But I just don't. I think it's Travis Hunter's award.
Easily.
Yeah.
The hype machine behind Colorado was finally going to pay off.
Now, listen, there's a couple of really blue blood matchups here in college football. Before we get to those, because you and I talked about these backstage a little bit, before we get to those, I got another one. And this is kind of that I'm going to ride the hot hand here. Arizona State been treating me very well past few weeks. Iowa State playing Arizona State. Arizona State favored by 2 points. I think they win this one by more than field goal. I think they win this one by 8 to 10 points. I like Arizona State in this game.
I like Arizona State as well. That's my kid's college. So I have a little soft spot for it. So I will ride with you there with the Trojans, not the Trojans. I'm sorry, with the Sun Devils to go ahead and handle that business. They've been very good lately. They didn't start off the season this hot, but the last 2.5 months of the year, they've looked like some dogs.
They're really coming together.
If they want to hold on to that very tenuous playoff spot that they have, they got to put up those style points. And you know, college football loves style points. I like this one to be I like them to dog out the Cyclones here. I'm gonna ride with you on that one.
My last non-blue blood game, and I listen, I really think this was a blue blood at one point in time. Maybe they get back to being a blue blood now that we hear rumors that Dabo Swinney is embracing NIL and transport and the transfer portal and all those kind of things. But right now, Clemson doesn't look like the old Clemson. They look a little bit better than they did last year. They still have some holes. Still don't trust them. And they're playing SMU at Charlotte, North Carolina. I said a month ago, ACC championship, get your Trans Ams ready, drive them over to Charlotte. I'm taking SMU here -2.
Ooh, you know, Miami, Alabama, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that those horses are back running. Ugh, it's going to take a while.
SMU's fast. They play fast, man. I don't think Clemson can keep up with the offense.
Yeah, it's going to take a while for me to get used to them being the ACC. But this is where we first disagree. I kind of like Clemson to get back in the thick of this, right? Get back into the upper echelon of college football. Represent the ACC in the playoff, winning this conference. The two, you know, if you ask me later in the show what we're doing our pick six, I might not be as strong on it, but I'm going to take Clemson on this one. So we'll put both of them in there.
Okay, so you think they kind of take their blue blood and say, SMU, you're not quite here yet. Not quite ready for this party. I got it. So what big game do you want to go to? Because we got a couple of monsters out there. Which one do you want to go with first?
Let's start with Atlanta, Georgia, and Texas.
So close to Georgia's backyard, right? Texas really took care of business the first time they played. I think they've matured a little bit. I think it's a really close game. Texas is now favored by 3 over Georgia, if I'm correct.
That is correct. Texas has a 3-point favorite in the Benz in Atlanta. That is directly into Georgia's backyard. Just an hour and a half away from their campus. This is a weird one because if Texas go ahead and wins, that opens the door for some of those teams that's on the outside looking in, right? But that will take away a big win from Alabama because that'll knock them down a little bit. So kind of sketchy how this was going to play, man. But later for the implications, right? Let's talk about this game. I think Texas. We've bagged on Texas before this season, but I think Texas is the more complete team than over Georgia. I don't think I'm busting any bubble saying that, right?
Well, definitely Texas takes care of the ball better than Georgia does for sure. That's been proven. Georgia has tendencies to get a little sloppy with the ball, turnover wise and whatnot. I'm rooting for Texas, and the reason why I'm rooting for Texas is because I want to see how the CFP looks at this when you talk about placement here. Georgia, as it stands right now, would be in. So if they lose this game and you remove them from that top 12 seed and that playoff, you now penalize them for making the championship game. And they made the championship game because of the teams they beat are on the cusp and would probably get in then. I totally love mass chaos like that. I love it when people get done dirty. I like riding with Texas on this one too. And listen, it might be a little bit of a. Do you want to call it bias when I'm just rooting for chaos? I'm not rooting for either team, just mass chaos.
That's always my guiding light. Mass chaos. Give it to me.
The last one, another one. So the big monster SEC and the big monster Big Ten. Those two are really the kind of the golden games here. Penn State at Oregon. Oregon favored by 3.5. That's going to be played in Indianapolis, Indiana, in the Dome, which I do think helps Oregon because they want to track meet. Penn State wants a bloody game and throw it to their tight end a lot. Oregon favored by 3.5. Man, I gotta say, I don't trust big game James Franklin. I think this is one that doesn't shake out well for him. I take Oregon here, minus 3.5.
Yeah, the traditional Big Ten powers did not do Franklin any favors. They know this is not the game for him, right? They sent him out there to defend their honor, and he is going to crap the bed. I like Oregon in a slaughter.
Afton the captain says it's not bias that I want Texas to win. It's just fun. It's just fun. Listen, you know I'm rooting for chaos if I'm going to side with Mod's team. You know what I mean? Speaking of which, I don't know if you heard, Pay, but I do have a bet going on with Mod this Monday Night Football. Bengals at the Dallas Cowboys. The loser has to buy the other team's hat and wear it for an entire show.
You letting them off easy there, PayDirt.
It's the same bet that we did the last time they played, and I had to wear a Cowboys hat. I gave that Cowboys hat away, so I actually have to purchase another one. Insult to injury. I don't want to purchase a Cowboys hat. All right, so that does it for me for college football. Not a lot of games on the docket, like we said, but some real good and real interesting games. I think it's going to lead a fun weekend. Anything else you want to add to college football before we hear from our sponsors?
Let's get to the professionals, man. Let's get to the real football, not the pseudo professionals.
Yeah, it's hard to tell somebody that's driving a Maybach they're not a professional, but okay. Listen, we'll take a quick break here, hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back after these messages. All right, welcome back to PayDirt. We have gotten the CFP games championship week on the docket, and now it's time for the good old NF of L. Pay, you got some good feelings about the NFL this week, man. So I'm gonna let you take the reins on this one. We get the Thursday night game, your beloved Packers at the Detroit Lions. You got any feelings on that one?
So I'm not, you know me, I hate the Packers. I hate everything green and yellow. I hate everything Wisconsin. But here's the thing. Detroit is a little banged up. Now they don't, I hate everything Wisconsin, right? I don't like the Packers whatsoever. So trust me when I tell you this. Detroit is a little banged up. I'm having sneaky suspicions that 3.5 might be a little bit too much for them. The Packers are playing a little well. They're playing well right now. You might want to either move off this game, or I think the better money, I would take the Packers 3.5.
Did it go up to 3.5? No, it's 3. It's back down to 3. Okay. So I feel what you're saying here, and I gotta be honest with you. Saying that the Detroit Lions are a little bit banged up is the understatement of the year. They're pretty banged up, especially on defense. Offensively, could they stick with them in a dome game? I think so, but I think the Packers are going to really run the ball here effectively. And do you look at the crystal ball and say the Detroit Lions are going to go 16-1 this year? I don't. I think 14-3 or 15-2 is a great season for any football team in the NFL. I think the Lions are due to lose another one. I think that this Packers game might be that one. +3 interests me. Money line +142 interests me. I do like the Packers in this one. I'm taking a +3. Listen, Lions are my second team. They're my adopted team. Detroit versus everyone. They're due. They're just due. They've had a close one. They should have lost last week, but they got Eberflus out of that one. I'm taking the Packers.
Yeah, if it's going to be money line, I respect the Lions and stick with them there on this way. But as far as the spread, I'll take the Packers 3.5. I do like the total as well. 51.5. I like that to hit. Just as we already said, their defense for Detroit is a little banged up. The Packers, they've been flying high ever since they lost to Detroit before their bye week. So I think both teams can mess around and give you a 30-29 type game.
I think for Detroit to be in this game, it's got to be in the 30 range. You know what I mean? So I'm not opposed to that one. All right, what else do you see out there that you like?
Well, next game, there's been some reports that Miami players, they're not necessarily feeling the McDaniel staff any longer. McDaniel, he might have lost their locker room after their latest cold weather loss, right? There's some rumblings going on, B. I don't know if you've heard that. But
there's some rumblings.
Yeah, what's some sneaky stuff going on over there? So Miami's playing the Jets this week. This should be an easy cakewalk for them. The Jets are abysmal. They're horrible. Aaron looks washed. Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are contemplating why they let this old dude come in here and mess up their career. The Dolphins. This is the game they should have good feelings for, but you're not hearing that. That leaves you susceptible. That leaves you susceptible for this god-awful team from New York, from East Rutherford, to come in and keep this game close. And if they do that, you can expect a full-on revolt in South Beach. And you know what? I kind of can see they can go on that rate. I take the Jets +6.
Ooh. Yeah, that's the Dolphins and the Jets. This is a no-fly zone for me. I don't want any parts of this game. These two teams are too unsteady for me.
That's smart. You should probably stay away from this game. But for me, I think I'm leaning more so to the Jets than I am to the Dolphins. But if
I do agree. If I lean Jets. The one thing I worry about: what if Tua trips coming out of the locker room and falls, and he's out for the next 6 weeks?
damn shame what they did to that dog.
Oh, if you don't get that reference, you need to look it up. That's a good one.
Right. Next game, we got to next game. We're gonna go to I like the Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. So you was talking backstage about the Steelers being a 6.5 point fave over the Cleveland Browns, which is crazy, right?
I just based on what just happened in Cleveland, I get there was inclement weather, but I think the Browns look like they can handle they look like they can handle the offensive and defensive lines. The defensive backs, I think, for the Browns look really good against them. It just seems like too much to me. It just seems like it should be a 3.5 point spread.
I think you usually give respect on these lines for division games, right? The Browns, they've looked good since that first matchup with Pittsburgh. They lost in dramatic fashion, in fashion that only Winston can do on Monday Night Football against the Broncos. But giving Pittsburgh a 6.5, almost 7 points on the line, off the strength of Russell and the Steelers offense doing what they did to a terrible Bengals defense, I think that's cake. I think you got to lean Browns here.
Afton asked, "What's the Browns' record in Pittsburgh?" Do not know that. I'm assuming, since she brought it up, that it's not very good. Yeah, I don't see it.
I would assume that the Browns, ever since they've been resurrected, they haven't fared well in Pittsburgh. But I do believe the Browns did go into Pittsburgh and win a playoff game as recent. So I don't necessarily want to put too much stock in home field advantage.
The last 4 games have been very close. The last 4 games have been very close games for the Steelers. They've got the Eagles next week. I called the last Browns game out because, to me, typical Tomlin trap games. I don't think they lose this game, but I think it's a field goal game, 3 or 4 points.
Yeah, this is a typical trap game. This is a typical trap game for them, but I think they're going to be ready for it because considering that they lost the last time they saw each other. But this is a trap game for bettors. I'm going to say you should lean Browns on this, as I already pointed out, just because that line is way too high. I typically do not agree with teams being so far ahead of their opponent. They don't always go that way. Unless it's college football. But for a matchup of teams that they know each other very well. Stefanski is not a terrible coach. He is the reigning defensive coach of the year. I would like I say, I would lean Browns on this one.
I agree. And listen, if it is a 2-score game late in the game, I could see a backdoor cover as well. I like it.
I love a good backdoor cover when I bet on it. I hate it when I'm trying to escape with the cash.
It'll tear your heart out sometimes, man. All right. I have a big avoid on the Raiders-Bucks game. I don't know about those teams.
Raiders and Bucks. Yeah, I don't. Both teams are too up and down. Ayo, but the Carolina Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles. If we're talking about trap games, this is it.
Oh, you like that plus 12?
I do like that plus 12. The Carolina Panthers are not a pushover. Ever since Bryce got back in control of things of that offense, they fought. They might lose, but they'll take you to the brink. They took the Kansas City Chiefs to the brink, and I'm not saying a lot about them because they always let everyone take them to the brink. But Carolina, they're not a team that you can just easily write off as a you can drag them out and the game's over. No, I think for this one, I'm taking Carolina again plus 12. We got underdogs today. Underdog Wednesday.
Up to.
Yeah, I like that one.
So, speaking of dogs, the Saints at the Giants or the Jags at the Titans. Any of those dog games interest you? It's not underdogs I'm worried about. It's just those are dog games. Those are games that, I mean, are they worth watching?
Well, no, they're not worth watching, but I'm going to stay away from all things Jacksonville for the remainder of the season, strictly because of what happened to their quarterback. I'm not gambling. If a team has a full week to scout Mac Jones, I don't like Mac Jones' chances. I'm going to stay away from Jacksonville all the way. Tennessee is due for a rebound after they got destroyed last week. But if there's anything, I might want to look at the Westbrook-Akina's touchdown odds. I said on the NFL No Cap recap, he has 20 catches on his season and already 8 touchdowns. Crazy stat.
That's the old Chris Carter. All he does is catch touchdowns.
CC. So he's plus 185 for a touchdown. It's not bad. I mean, it's might want to play with that.
All right. So we got some dogs, maybe a flyer there on a anytime touchdown. Do you see something else on these, maybe the Sunday afternoon games that you like? Or the Sunday night? Are you going to try to get me to bet on your Bears?
Let's check it out. Sunday. This will be the week that you want to do it. Finally, because they've got a new bit of energy in the season. And San Francisco 49ers, they're coming in hobbled. They probably deflated since they lost CMC for the year. May have played his last game in the Bay. So if you wanted to bet the Bears, now was the time. I think they were plus 4. It's good money. Might be the time to become a billionaire, bro.
Not only is McCarthy out, but so is Mason. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. You think the Bears are going to play a little more loose without Eberflus? Oh, he added it to the slip.
I think they're going to play a lot more focused. Because Eberflus lost that locker room a long time ago.
Long time ago.
A long time ago, and they're so happy to be done with that, guys. So happy to be done with the lack of accountability that comes from the head coach's office, the ridiculous play calls that he allows that they put out there. Credit to them that they don't cowboy to just a mass revolt on the field. But yeah, I am backing the Bears 3 units by themselves to handle business and cover that 4.
3 units. Woo! It's too rich for my blood, but I don't mind it. If it was in Chicago, I probably like it a little bit more.
I agree. I mean, I can see that, but like I said, if they were going to do anything right now, this will be the week. We've talked about it before, B. In fact, I called it on this show. the previous coach that got fired in the season over there.
Yeah,
Over there in New Orleans. Teams get a new coach, new quarterback boost. It's time. Come on to Chicago. Let's get this boost going. Like T-Mobile, let's get a boost.
All right. I am not going to be betting with, against, or anything on my team this week. They're on Monday Night Football, and for some reason, even though the Cincinnati Bengals week after week after week prove to you they can't tackle anybody, they're favored by 5.5. I'm not doing it.
Wait a second, B. Wait a second. You trust you bet a hat. You bet a hat, but you won't bet any money. I got you. I feel you. I feel you.
Win by a field goal.
Okay. All right.
I don't want
win by a
5.5.
field goal. All right. Yeah, 5.5 is a little bit too risky. Rico Dowd might mess around and have his second rushing touchdown of his season on messing around with the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, I agree. I will push away from this game. There's too many variables. If there was anything, I would check out Burrow's passing props, but the game itself, I don't want anything to do with it.
Or just the over 49.5, I think could come home. Listen, betting the Bengals over right now.
Well.
Listen, the Bengals over right now is the Steelers under of last year.
I like what you're throwing down. All right, so we've got how many on the slip right now?
So
we've got a healthy slip so far.
We got 12, but 2 of them are opposing. It's time to start whittling the slip.
Yeah, let's start whittling this down. Unless you had anything else for NFL.
I do not.
All right.
You covered everything I had marked.
Oh, did we want to talk about this the Kirk Cousins revenge game?
I don't like it.
Come in. You don't like it? Okay, you don't like it. I kind of think it's.
I think they've got it. I think they've got it kind of. I like the line. I like the line the best out of the options.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the Falcons are vulnerable right now. The Vikings are playing great. They got the number 1 rush defense in the league. So Bijan is vulnerable. Kirk Cousins has been playing terrible. He had 4 interceptions last week. Vikings, they are known to put pressure on you. I think the Falcons are primed to look booty again for a second week in a row. That under to me is kind of juicy to be honest to me.
Yeah, life's too short to let the under though.
Yeah, but live fast, die young. Give me the under. All right. Now we got 13.
Now we got 13.
All right.
So let's go ahead. We're opposite. We're opposing each other on one of those games. Let's go ahead and nix that.
Which one was it? Was it the SMU, wasn't it?
Yes, Clemson at SMU.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get them both out of there. Yeah, they can go either way, so I'm not mad at it.
I know.
All right. All right. So that leaves us with 4 picks total for Saturday. We have UNLV at Boise. 3 picks. UNLV at Boise. We got the over 57.5. Arizona State -2 and Texas -3.
Okay. So let's go to the NFL.
Let's go to NFL. Packers +3. Over 51.5 in that same game.
We both like the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We both like the over 51.5.
Yep.
All right. So let's go down to the Jets +6.
Let's take that out of there. I say out of the first 4 NFL games, that's the one I dislike the most.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't really, again, the thing about parlays is less risk. Want to mitigate your risk. The Jets, they are the very definition of a risk because
there you go.
They're terrible. So, all right, I respect it. Cleveland Browns +6.5. Carolina Panthers +12.5. Bears +4. We got 3 straight dogs. Actually, we have 4 straight dogs, including the Packers. Over 49.5 in the Bengals versus Cowboys, and under 45.5 Falcons versus Vikings. We got to get rid of 4. 4 picks.
What's the over under in the Vikings game again?
45.5.
Is it 27-20? I don't know.
Study wrong, study wrong. We'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
So we have for the NFL, we have 3 actual total bets. We have the over 51.5 for the Packers Lions. I think we both are confident that there's gonna be some scoring tomorrow night, so we can leave that one.
Why don't we get rid of the Packers +3? Let's just take the over in that game.
Okay, that's fine. All right, because screw the Packers. All right, so that leaves us with three totals, and the other one was your Bengals at the Cowboys. I agree. I expect some points out of that one too. 49.5 seems a little low for them, especially the Bengals by themselves. So come back to the meat of the problem. Browns +6.5, Panthers +12.5.
Could the Browns throw 2 pick sixes? Always a possibility.
And they still starting Winston. Yeah.
So that's Jameis is a little bit of a risk guy as well, right? So mitigate risk. I would say take out the Browns.
All right, do that. So now we got 2 left. So the riskiest remaining would be the Carolina Panthers +12. That's also the one that gives our ticket the most value too. So it's gonna hurt, but let's get it out of there. All right, so last one. We have those 3 totals from the NFL: the Bears +4, Texas -3, Arizona State -2, and the over 57.5.
So out of those 7, there's 3 I think are very close. Over 57.5 in the Boise State game, Bears +4, or the under in the Minnesota game. I'll let you pick which one of those 3 get next.
Unders always make my not my skin crawl, but they always tense me up, right? So I like the good vibes. Let's get the under out of there.
Keep the overs. I love it.
All right.
I should have wore the life's too short to bet the under sweatshirt.
DraftKings is not letting us parlay the 6, but because of this particular, I think it's just the way I picked the game. So don't worry about that.
Well, it could be that. It could be. It was because you originally had 2
right
in there.
Right, so it doesn't matter, but it's still good for a 6-pick parlay. So we have UNLV at Boise over 57.5, Arizona State -2 against Iowa State, Texas to win the SEC championship by 3 or more, over 51.5, and the Packers at the Lions, the Bears +4, and over 49.5 Bengals at Dallas. Total odds on this, well, actually it's more because that they're not including that one, but the total odds should be, let me see some math here. Should be almost 3 to 1, 30 to 1 rather.
Let's see if I can do it. So we take the over. I'm gonna see if it'll give it to me the way I do it here. Texas -3. You had a same game parlay in there. There's a reason why it's doing that.
Yeah, I know. That's why.
All right, so we got the Packers over. Got the Bears. The Bears. That one makes me nervous. Bears just in general make me nervous. A little skittish.
The reason why you feel that way, Eberflus. The vibes are good now, baby. We're good. It's time. It's time for the real Bears to show up.
The parlay pays plus 4,852.
Okay, I like that. That's good money.
Yeah, that's great money. I dig it.
Let's get it. We're gonna hit this one this week.
We've got one already, and that covers us for almost the entire year. Well, it did cover us for more than the entire year. So if we hit another one, man, we're playing with house money at this point in time. And remember, listen, I do a half unit bet on the parlay and a full unit bet at least on every single one of these games when we do these. That's the way you do it. You cover your tail. You get the most in on your most valued bet, or your the one that you have the largest inclination is going to come through for you. And then if you get that good run, you hit extra for it. That's what you're really trying to do with this parlay. You're not don't hang your hat that you're going to hit a 16 parlay every week. Not going to happen. Don't bet the rent money on it. Be smart.
It's Christmas. Don't blow underneath the tree on the parlay. Don't
yeah, the nieces and nephews and the kids, everybody got to get taken care of.
Right. Take care of them first, and then just keep a little something for the parlay.
For sure. All right, that does it for us. We appreciate you rocking with us each and every week. Like I said, if you have not taken the opportunity to subscribe, hit that bell, hit that thumbs up, that 5-star review. We appreciate you. You guys rocking with us every Wednesday, 6:35. And hey, we made it happen 5 minutes late on today's episode. We apologize. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off for work, but you know, 'tis the season, right? Once again, thanks for Pay Saunders and PayDirt. Catch us next week as we hit PayDirt.